Hello, students. Today we will do chapter number 4 of the novel A Tale of Two Cities, Monsieur la Marquise. Chapter number 4, page number 45, 46, 47, and 48. The first scene of the chapter, Monsieur la Marquise. 4 months has already passed after the trial of Charles Darnay, and it was a summer evening, and Mr. Lorry was going to the home of Dr. Manette and his daughter to have dinner. And as he walked to the front door, he was thinking about Dr. Manette. And he was thinking that he is now well enough. He can now practice medicine, means that he can now give treatment to the people. The maid, as he went into the room, to the living room, Miss Pross was not there. And Doctor and Lucy, they were out for a walk. So he thought that he will just look around the house. As he passed Dr. Manette's room, he saw the bench and the tools with which to make the shoes, and he thought that why he's keeping these things to remind him of his suffering or his days in the prison. And as he was thinking this, Miss Pross appeared on the top of the stairs, and she seemed little upset. And when Mr. Lorry asked her, she said that she didn't like the way the people come here to quote Lucy, and she said that she thinks that only her brother is the one who is worthy of Lucy, that he's the only one who should get married to Lucy. And then Mr. Lorry asked her about, as far as Mr. Lorry knew about the brother of Miss Pross, that he was not a good person and he has ran away with all the things owned by Miss Pross, and he has never written a letter in these 5 years to Miss Pross. Mr. Lorry then asked about Dr. Manette, whether he thinks about his old time, whether he thinks about the years he has spent in the prison. Then she said that she doesn't know about it, but Lucy was saying that he thinks about it, and during nighttime he is unable to sleep and he just paces back and forth, and even Lucy sometimes joins him. And sometimes he goes back into his old condition where he do not remember anything. He goes into depression. He just keep on working for hours and days, and at that time it is impossible to have conversation with him. Lucy and Manette arrives, and then they have the dinner, and after dinner Mr. Darnay joins them, and they are sitting under the tree in the garden, and they're talking about the sights, the monuments of the London. And Charles tells them about the Tower of London, where it has been discovered letters, alphabets are written on the walls of the cells. Wall of the cells means walls of the prison. And as he said this, Dr. Manette turns pale, and Lucy becomes concerned about her father. But Dr. Manette says to Lucy that it is nothing. He has got startled by the raindrop falling on the back of his hand, and he shows the raindrop. But Mr. Lorry thinks that he is hiding something. And as the tea was served, Sydney Carton also arrives there. And the rain starts falling, and outside the people are moving speedily, quickly to be safe to get the shelter before the storm begins. And in the room the echoes of the footstep could be heard, but even though there is no one walking in the room, the footstep sounds could be heard. And then Lucy says that sometimes in the evening when she hears the footsteps, she thinks about that these footsteps are the footsteps of those people who are going to come into their life. It seems like that Lucy has an intuition that there are going to be troubles in their life in future. So these people are the footsteps of those people, those who are going to bring trouble in their lives. And then Charles Darnay says that, are these people going to come only to you or to all of us? Are the trouble going to come only in your life or all the lives of all the people around you? Then she says that she doesn't know that whether this trouble is going to come in her life only. It is just her imagination. It is just her foolish idea. Then Sydney Carton says that if they are going to come so quickly, they are coming, then he will invite all this in his own life, all the problems, all the troubles he wants only in his life, not in Lucy's life. And as he said these words, the rain started heavily. There was a sound of thunder and the flashes of lightning, and no one was able to hear what he has said. The thunder swept away all words, means that his words were not heard by the people under the sound of the thunder. Next scene of page number 48, 49, and 52. At about the same time in France, Monsieur La Marquise was in carriage. He was going to his chateau. Chateau means the castle, the palace. It is a large house in the countryside. The driver was going on hitting the horses mercilessly. He did not feel any pity on the horses. And ultimately, what happened? The carriage started speeding through the narrow streets of Paris. The man, women, and children who were walking on the street, they jumped out of the way of the carriage as it raced through the street, just narrowly escaping being crushed under the wheels of the carriage. The people on the street, they freaked out, they panicked, and pain of these people on the street had no effect on the Marquis, or even there was no guilt on his face, there was no change of expression on his face. And it means that he did not feel the pain of these pedestrians. He was not affected, insensitive to the pain of the pedestrian. As the carriage was racing on the street, it seemed like that something came under the wheel of the carriage. It seemed that something was crushed under the wheel, and it was l- like a bag of potatoes. It seemed like that it was a bag of potatoes. Marcus was thrown out of his seat and he fell out of the seat. The people on the street, they were screaming, shouting, and the carriage stopped. Marcus, he looked out of the carriage window and he asked, "What is wrong?" A tall man had picked up a bundle from behind the carriage and he was just keeping it near the fountain. The tall man was crying loudly. He was just going on crying. And a person, a bystander who was present there, he was wearing gold and torn clothes. He said to Marcus that it is a child. And the tall man who has picked up the bundle, he was just going on crying loudly over the body of the dead child. And Marcus asked that why he is making such a weird, awful sound. Is it his child? Then the bystander, the ragged bystander, he told Marcus that yes, it is his child. The tall man had a his face was full of agony. The expression on the face was full of pain. And he ran toward the carriage. And while he was running towards the carriage, he shouted, "Killed." And he kept on looking directly, fixedly at Marcus. And he kept on shouting again and again the same word, "Dead, dead, dead." And Marcus, he looked at the people with hatred and dislike and said to them, then why can't you take proper care of your children? Always one or the other children come under his carriage. And he just hoped that his horse has not been hurt, is not injured. Then he threw the coin at the feet of the poor father. And the father and that tall man, he was still going on crying, "Dead, dead, dead." And a large man, he just hugged this father of the dead child and tried to console him by saying that it is good that he has died. Gaspard, the name of the father of the dead child is Gaspard, said that it is better that your child has died instantly because otherwise you have to undergo a lot of suffering living in such a bad time in Paris. So it is better that it has ended its suffering. He has died quickly. And Marcus, he pointed out to this large man and he said that are you a philosopher, and asked his name. That large man said that his name is Defarge, and Marcus threw the coin at the feet of Defarge and he sat back in his seat. As he sat back in his seat, student, the same coin which he has thrown at Defarge, it came back inside the carriage and landed at his feet. And Marcus just shouted at the carriage to be stopped. And he looked out of the window at the place where Defarge was standing. And he shouted at the people that the person who has thrown the coin inside deserves to be crushed under the wheels of the carriage. And the people present there, they were so covered, they were not looking at Marcus, and they stood there with bowed heads. Only one person was going on looking with hatred at him, and it was Theresa, the wife of Defarge. But Marcus was unable to notice the hatred in her gaze. Page number 52. Marcus, he's traveling through the open countryside. Open countryside means the village side where there is a fields all around. And in these fields, what can be seen are patches of poor wheat. The crop of wheat was not proper, it was not good. It was very poor crop. And it could be seen on both the side of the road. And soon the carriage reached a poor village. The carriage climbed uphill to the top of the hill with lot of noise. And it was a village which could be called very poor and small one. It had only one street. There was only one tavern. Tavern means a type of restaurant. And a stable yard. Stable yard means where the horses are kept. The people of the village were very weak. Why they were weak? Because they had to do lot of work. They had to do lot of labor because of overwork, and hungry because they did not have enough food. So they were bent. They were very weak, bent down, and they were always hungry because there was not enough food to eat. Even though they worked very hard, they earned very little money, and whatever money they earned, it was paid as taxes. What type of taxes? Different type of taxes they had to pay. Tax for the state, tax for the lord, tax for the church, local taxes, and the general taxes. So many taxes they have to pay. So whatever they earned, they paid it as taxes, and so they have to live a life which was of extreme poverty. And it seemed like that the aim of life was that they will have, their purpose in life was that they have to pay only taxes. And as the carriage reached halfway through the village, Marcus noticed a workman was looking at his carriage, and so he ordered the driver to stop the carriage, and he called out to the workman and asked him that what he was looking at. The workman said to Marcus that he was looking at the man who was hanging from his carriage. Then Marcus asked him that who was that man. Then the workman said that he was not able to say that who it was because the man was covered with dust, and he jumped off and ran into the forest. And the other person has also seen someone hanging from the carriage. It was Mr. Gable. And this person, Gable, he was working as a postman, tax collector, and the policeman of the village. And he has also seen the stranger hanging from the carriage. And Marcus ordered him to find out who this man was and arrest him as soon as possible. Marcus arrived at his chateau by nightfall, and he asked his butler if his nephew had arrived. The butler replied that he had not, and during the supper, the Marcus, he was looking out of the window, and he thought that he has seen someone moving in the garden, and he asked the butler that he has said that his nephew is not here, and the butler said that yes, he hasn't arrived here. When he said that he has seen someone moving in the garden, the butler said that it might be that the trees are moving with the wind. And student, do you remember the Frenchman Charles Darnay who has been found not guilty at the trial for the treason in the earlier chapter? That person, Charles Darnay, is nephew of Marcus. He arrived soon and he sat for dinner with his uncle. And he was asked that whether he has come from Paris. He said that no, he has come straight from England because of the important work. Otherwise, he would have never come to France. Then Marcus said that why it is so. Then Charles said that he always feels that there is danger over here in France. And then his uncle pointed out that yes, indeed, the times are bad. Earlier, the peasants were afraid of them. They had control over the life and death of these farmers. But now they are not afraid of them any longer. Charles pointed out that it is because they have used the power given to them in a wrong way upon these peasants. That is why these people, he could only see hate in their eyes. And Charles' uncle said, Marcus said that it should be like that. There should be hatred for them because the more they hate us, the more they respect us, and it is a compliment for their family's name. Charles said that our honorable family, we have destroyed anyone, we have ended the life of the person, anyone who came between their happiness. And this has been carried by his father also. Then Marcus pointed out to him angrily that his father is dead. Then Charles said that is why that he is more responsible for the dishonor that has come upon this family, and he is powerless. He cannot change it. He cannot undo the wrong things done by his family. And I am risking, he said that he is risking his own life to fulfill the wishes of a mother, the last wishes of a dead mother, so that he could bring back the honor to his family again. Marcus laughed and said that I think that you have lost your way, that you do not know what you have to do. Then Charles said that he do not want the property and he do not want to stay in this country. Then Marcus asked to Charles, he looked at him in lot of dislike. The way he looked at him, there was lot of dislike for his nephew. And he said that how you are going to live then if you do not want the property and the country. Then he said that England is his home and he has made a name for him there and he does not want to come back here. Then Marcus pointed out that I have heard that in England many of the Frenchmen has taken shelter. Do you know about one doctor? He said yes. And even that he has a daughter with him. Then Charles said yes. Then Marcus rose from his chair. He stood up from the chair and he said to Charles that you are looking tired. You must take rest. Good night. And he also wished his uncle good night. And as he moved, there was an expression of secrecy appeared upon his face that it seemed like, and there was an evil smile on his face. It seemed like that he knew something about this doctor. And Charles could not help but notice this. He became aware about that there is something evil behind the smile of his uncle. And the next morning, there was lot of commotion in the village. Gable, who was a postman and a policeman of the village, he was called to the chateau at the St. Evermont. And when he arrived, he was taken by butler to the Marcus' bedroom. And as he entered the bedroom, he was shocked and frightened to see that Marcus was lying on his bed, all drenched with blood, and knife was there, was pierced through his heart, and there was a note in it, and it was written, "Go fast to your grave. This is from Jacques." Now, Jacques are the French revolutionaries. And with this, we finish our chapter 4. Students, I hope that you will read the lesson. Thank you.